Corporate officer, do we have any late items or changes to the agenda?
There are none, Your Worship.
Thank you. So that is other than the one change, right? Oh.
Correct.
Sorry, I've lost my screen here. Okay. Could you read that out now, or is it for later in the meeting?
I can share my screen now. That's great.
Thank you.
Okay, so Madam Mayor, I was going to recommend an amendment to the agenda order by moving 8.1 comments from members of the public to follow 6.0 Mayor's report. And this is because there were some pieces of correspondence related to agenda items, in particular 7.2 and then also 9.3. So if everyone's in agreement, then we'll move that item up.
May I just ask a question about that? Do you want the comments from the members of the public to come after the mayor's report and before the CAO's report?
It would be right before item 7.0.
Okay, so in the agenda that was published, it has the CAO's report followed by the mayor's report, which is
correct,
backwards from what we usually have. Yeah. So it will be just before the development report and bylaws, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
and if
great.
I may, Madam Mayor, just it has been brought to the attention that there has been some changes in the agenda and the way that we're formatting. And since the new procedures bylaw was adopted in January, there have been some minor adjustments for practical reasons, and we've moved things around a little bit. So staff do intend to bring a report back to a future meeting of council for direction on this procedural adjustments to the meeting and any other procedures that we had changed at the beginning of the year.
Okay, thank you very much. So with this one change to the agenda, could I ask someone to bring that motion forward, please, to adopt the amended agenda? I can't see anyone, so you'll have to say your name.
Councillor Van Elfen, so moved.
Thank you.
Councillor Patton, second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Sorry. Yes, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, so that is carried then. And then on to item 4, adoption of the minutes. So the special council meeting minutes of April 15th, regular afternoon and evening council meetings of January 27th, and the regular evening council meeting of February the 24th. Anything in those minutes that needs revising? If not, I'll ask someone to bring it forward.
I'll move.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes, seconded by?
Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, and all in favor? Any opposed? Any opposed? Thank you, that's carried. Okay, so Anthony, you wanted me to proceed with the mayor's report followed by your report?
Correct, I think that would be perfect.
Okay, thank you. So mayor's report for April the 14th. I hope everyone had a healthy and happy Easter weekend, even though we were separated from friends and family. Certainly, this public health emergency has had an impact on all of us, some more than others, and the District of Summerland is not excluded from that. We are now meeting electronically, and following a ruling by the province's public health officer, the public is no longer able to attend the meetings. We do, however, recognize the importance of public input on agenda items and welcome your comments and input in written form. Mr. Haddad, our Chief Administrative Officer, will provide updates on operational activities related to COVID-19 in his report. Council has had preliminary discussions about adjusting the proposed 2020 budget. These discussions continue on tonight's agenda, and after receiving any new information we may ask for from senior staff tonight, we hope to make decisions on this matter at the special council meeting scheduled for Friday morning, April the 17th. Until further notice, all meetings related to council or other work I do in my role as the mayor are being held electronically. On March the 27th, I and the Southern Interior Local Government Association executive attended a call hosted by Minister Donaldson and ministry staff. The executive spoke about the impact the required shutdowns are having on natural resource businesses, especially forestry, and our concerns about wildland fires further complicating the provincial state of emergency. The minister assured us that the province is aware of both issues and, in regard to the wildfire season, is working on how to manage evacuations during COVID-19 should this emergency arise. Still on SILGA, as you all know, the executive made the decision to cancel the convention this year. At our next meeting, which is at the end of the month, we will continue discussions on whether or not we will have some type of smaller event later in 2020. The Okanagan Basin Water Board meeting was held on April the 7th. 3 items on the agenda to bring forward tonight are the semifinals of the Aqua Hacking Challenge, the annual water survey report, and the selection of the OBWB grant recipients for 2020. Please visit obwb.ca for more information. The water survey report is on Thursday, April the 16th, which happens to be an RDOS day. I have forwarded the webinar information to our CAO and Councillor Van Elfen. Did you get it, Councillor Van Elfen?
I did.
Fantastic. And as Councillor Van Elfen is our council liaison on the Water Advisory Committee. BC mayors, regional district chairs, and CAOs have been having weekly telephone calls with the province, most often with Minister Robinson, Municipal Affairs and Housing. On the latest call, she asked that we share information about the province's rent relief program at bchousing.org. South Okanagan, Similkameen mayors and CAOs have also started bi-weekly calls, and thank you to Mayor Vasilaki and his staff for hosting these calls. Collaboration and regular and consistent messaging is especially important during these times. Finally, speaking of the importance for communications, district updates can be found at www.summerland.ca and on the District of Summerland Facebook page. As always, the mayor's reports, the mayor's minutes column are posted on the website. And last month, at the request of and in consultation with our CAO, I began daily mayor's messages on the district's Facebook page. Be safe and continued health, Summerland. As Dr. Henry said on Easter weekend, this is the time for all of us to stay strong in our commitment to flatten the curve. Thank you. CAO.
Okay, thank you, Worship. So not too much of an update on the operations side of things. I just wanted to provide an opportunity to update the community on some of the work our bylaw officer has been undertaking over the long weekend. We've put bylaw staff in place on weekends to monitor the parks, campgrounds, and the businesses in accordance with the provincial government orders and making sure that their requirements are met. So we've taken an active role in upping our enforcement on our weekends over and above what we typically do. So just quickly, all 9 parks were visited on a daily basis over the 4 days of the Easter weekend, twice on Sunday, with no issues identified within 9 of our parks. Our bylaw officer also visited 16 of our wineries to check for COVID compliance on tasting rooms and their operations. Most of them were closed, but it was still important to have the district bylaw officer walk through and visit those establishments. And then the bylaw officer also attended 10 more retailers over the weekend, including all gas stations, checking for compliance around food preparation and and their operations. Again, implementing and making sure more of an education component around the provincial orders. So, and we'll be continuing the bylaw operations on weekends over the coming weeks as well. And we haven't had the opportunity, or haven't had the need to enforce any of the provincial orders at this stage, but we'll be continuing to monitor and educate the community and the businesses where needed. Any questions from council on that? No. Okay, and just finally, as you saw, we sent a media release out last week. Really important at this stage for the community to be aware of their mental health. And the districts partnered with the Canadian Mental Health Association to offer a free mental health wellness COVID-19 webinar on Thursday, April 16th at 10 a.m. So that information, more information can be found on our website. But to register for the event or a webinar, please visit our summerland.ca website, Parks and Recreation section, or give a call to Summerland Recreation at 250-494-0447. And we've had a good response so far, and hopefully people can take advantage of that in the community, which will be an important part of the recovery process. So with that, I'll end my operational update for this meeting.
Thank you, Anthony.
Madam Mayor, may I just,
Yes.
with those that aren't on mute, please go on mute when they're not speaking, so that we don't have ringing phones and other things.
Can I ask, how do you get it onto mute, please?
So the bottom left.
Top right. On your iPad, it's top right.
Okay.
If you tap on Anthony's head, there you go.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Erin. Councillor Carlson, pardon me. On to 7.1, Land Use Procedure Amendment Bylaw 2020-008, and I will pass this back to Anthony.
And I'll pass this over to Karen to present the item, and then I'm sure there'll be a couple of questions on this. So over to you, Karen.
Go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm going to share my screen for a couple slides to do with the public in attendance and then the land use procedures bylaw. Thank you. Okay, so first of all, we did move 8.0 public comment opportunity up to advise all the public and also council that the comments from the members of public have been circulated to council. We had a submission for item 7.2 from Kyle Martins and Marianne McDonald, and a submission for item 9.3 from David Fields, David Gregory, and Marianne McDonald.
May I just interrupt? Did we get one from Lorraine Benest as well, or was that just to certain people? For 9.3. Did anyone else get an email from Lorraine?
I got one from Lorraine. I thought I sent it on to both Anthony and Karen, but perhaps I didn't.
Okay. We can add that in, Your Worship.
Okay.
Okay.
I got one from Lorraine, but it was only with the concerning the solar project.
So item 9.3.
Yes.
Perfect. I will amend that and put that in the presentation for the minutes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so item 7.1 is the land use procedures bylaw. And this is an amendment that's being brought forward mostly the summary of proposed changes due to COVID-19 and the provincial and health emergencies that have altered the way that council is permitted to meet, most notably electronically, with no public in attendance. The intent is to continue processing and bringing development applications to council, and this has been communicated to the development community. There are a few restrictions related to public hearings, which have not yet been addressed by the province. So at this time, we are suspending any public hearings until further notice. most applications will be able to proceed and be considered. And I've put a note here that the suspension of public hearings really affects the official community plan and temporary use permits, as well as rezonings, but there is an option in the legislation to waive the public hearing if a rezoning falls within the official community plan. So the amendments, Your Worship, are just to update legislative references to the Local Government Act, and as noted here, change to add a new general section for the COVID-19 provincial orders. So the recommendation, I'm actually asking if we can propose these amendments prior to giving the bylaw first and second and third reading. So the first one is to correct the spelling on 5.1CI, conducting. We're going to delete 5.1H, which is consultation with the Advisory Planning Commission. The reason, and with the Agricultural Advisory Committee, the provincial order to meet electronically actually applies to committees of council. So we will be able to meet with those two particular advisory committees. So that does not need to be part of the amendment. And then just a renumbering to D, because see at the very bottom that says all other sections of the bylaw remain unchanged, is actually section D. So the procedures bylaw amendment is to give first, second, and third, and then actually also adopt the bylaw with these amendments.
Thank you, Karen. I just realized I was muted still. Any questions of our corporate officer?
I have one.
Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, thank you. So just to clarify, so all public, anything requiring a public hearing will be held at first reading until everything's sorted out in terms of where it says in C, 5.1C, once an alternate means is approved by, or the state of emergency be rescinded. So once we know that, everything up until that point, we won't have any public hearings and everything will be held at first reading. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
CAO?
Yeah, I through Chair Worship, I will say that, as Karen mentioned earlier, the ability to waive public hearings does exist. So on a case-by-case basis, we will certainly bring those opportunities forward to council. We're also expecting some more information, again, hopefully from the province as well, around public hearings. What we've heard from a lot of communities is that they'd like a lot more clarification from the province around public hearings, given some of the issues that everyone's going to be facing. So if we hear more information from the province, we'll be able to update that public hearing section as well. But as Karen mentioned, I think what we may be facing on a few applications in the future is rezoning application that meets the future land use designation in the OCP. And on a case-by-case basis, council have the ability to waive that public hearing, but we'll have to make sure council are informed with all the information before that occurs. So there's a few options here and there, but anything contentious, I guess, is going to have to be really carefully considered.
Councillor Barkwell?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that there would be that possibility of something that we, you know, is non-controversial, is important to move forward keep the wheels of the economy going in our community. But when you look at D, we would then have to be contravening D, applications involving bylaw amendments that council chooses to advance further will be held at first reading. I mean, when you read that, like, advance further from where? And, you know, you can't advance any further than beyond first reading. I mean, anything, second reading is like advanced, yeah, you'd have to go against that particular section. I think that section shouldn't be in there. It doesn't do anything.
Ms. Needham?
Just a point of clarification on that section. Council does have the opportunity to not give first reading to a bylaw. So the purpose of that particular section was to say that if council chooses to give it first reading and advance it to a public hearing, it will be held at first reading. That's the intent of that particular section.
Yes, but it doesn't say anything about public hearing. It just says to advance further will be held at first reading. It really confuses things. As far as I can see. You know, and the ones that we will choose to want to advance further are the ones that we're not legally required to have a public hearing for, which.
Just one more comment. When you give the bylaw first reading, it is a requirement to go to a public hearing. So the advancement, whether council decides to waive the public hearing, then we can do that, or we can hold it at first if a public hearing is required.
Councillor Barkwell?
Well, doesn't sound entirely correct. You just told us that unless it involves something that contravenes the official community plan, a public hearing is not required. We have the what is it, section 464(2). So, yeah, you know, that doesn't fit or answer anything for me.
So the section that you're referring to, council actually has to pass a resolution to waive the public hearing. It's not an automatic. So it is a decision of council at first reading consideration. First of all, whether to give the bylaw first reading, and secondly, whether to forward that to further readings by waiving a public hearing. Don't know if that helps.
Well, whatever, if it works for you. I think we know the intent here, but I hope it doesn't cause any problems down the road. Maybe this will be over before anything happens.
Any other questions of Ms. Needham? Councillor Trainer.
I'm just wondering, at what point do these, do the things that we bring in for COVID, like when this whole thing is over, what happens to these bylaws then? Do we just go back to our regular way of doing things, or do we have to vote them down, or how does that work?
This one has been added as a special section specifically for COVID-19. So once all of the minister's orders and the Emergency Act has been rescinded, then this will no longer apply. But certainly it would be something for ease and for clarity to remove at a later date. But it doesn't affect council moving on with the regular bylaw once things are back to normal for council meetings and that kind of thing.
So once the minister reverses his order, then we go back to our regular way of doing things? That's right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, could I have someone bring forward the recommendation, please? Councillor Holmes, could you read it aloud, please?
Okay, that's going to be a challenge. I need to work with some multiple screens here.
Okay, I'll read it. And then Councillor Holmes, if you can make the motion.
Sure.
Is it easier that way, Councillor Holmes?
I got it here. I got it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's staff. That's Summerland Land Use Procedures Amendment Bylaw 2020-008 be introduced and read a first, second, and third time, and that Summerland Land Use Procedures Amendment Bylaw 2020-008 be adopted.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Van Elfen? Any further discussion on this item? I'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. That's carried. Now on to item 7.2, ALC, non-adhering resident.
Madam Ma-
Councillor, yeah.
Before you begin, I'm going to recuse myself from this part of the conversation. We currently share housing with boardrooms, and so I will not be participating. If someone could phone me when you're done, I will come back to the meeting.
Yes, I've arranged with our CAO to give you a call and
Perfect.
ask you to leave the meeting at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Carlson. All right, not adhering residential use, temporary farm worker accommodation, site-specific zoning bylaw text amendment, and DVP for 11507 Blair Street. Over to our CAO.
Okay, so I'll present this one. I'm just going to share my screen with you so you can see the presentation. And give me 2 seconds. Can council see the first slide with the Mountain View Growers title?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll present this item just to run through the purpose of this application. There's 4 components to what council have in front of them this evening for introduction. The first is to consider the application for temporary farm worker housing via non-adhering residential use application to the Agricultural Land Commission. The second part is a zoning bylaw text amendment specific to the property, Mountain View Growers property at 1157 Blair Street, to allow for 46-person modular farm worker housing, which is intended to be contained within 11 modular units. As part of the information we presented to council, but not being considered tonight, is the development variance permit. And I'll speak to all of these in detail later on in the presentation. The variance proposed, the 3 variances proposed include the exterior side yard setback, reduction in the parking space requirements, and an increase to the retaining wall height that's permitted within the zoning bylaw. So they're the 3 components that are applied to the subject property. Also, as part of the information that we presented to council is the introduction of a general amendment to the zoning bylaw related to farm worker housing, for seeking direction for council to move this forward to the Development Process Improvement Committee. We've had some discussion on this item before. We'll sort of formalize it and formalize some of the discussion on it with council. So just to run through the subject property, located on the north-west corner of Blair Street and Washington Avenue intersection. Currently, the property is zoned agricultural small acreage A1, and the OCP designation is for future agricultural use. A couple of photographs just to run through the property. This is a photo taken along Blair Street looking west. This isn't a view of where the mobile modular structures will be located. It's the site that they're currently located on is temporarily is a temporary location, and it's on the existing Mountain View Growers parcel on the east side of Washington Street. So these are located temporarily until should council support the application, then they'd be moved into their eventual location. Photograph of the subject property where the modular housing is intended to be located. You can see some earthworks and site preparation that's currently underway on that intersection. And just a photograph from Blair Street looking east, and you can see in the distance, I'll zoom in a sec, the earthworks that are being undertaken. A little closer zoom in showing the location of the retaining wall. There's been a portion of the retaining wall that's been constructed. The construction of the retaining wall is in compliance with the zoning and not triggering any variances at this stage. The wall's built to its maximum height at 1.2 meters. Should council support the variances, then they'll be moving forward with a higher wall. So that gives you a bit of some context in terms of what's out on the property right now. Just a quick recap of the provincial regulations. So as council were aware, in Feb of last year, the Agricultural Land Commission Act was amended and land use regulations were created specific to farm worker housing, including changes to the role of local government as the approving body with respect to agricultural uses on ALR land. One of the key changes was the new oversight role that the ALC have for residential users on structures on agricultural land. Even though they still need to come through for council for approval, we have to forward them off to the Land Commission for final approval. So that captures some of the provincial regulations that are in place and relevant to this application. With regards to our district policy and regulations, the OCP strongly supports agricultural activities in Summerland and certainly supports temporary farm worker housing. So we definitely see this proposal being supported with the direction coming out of the official community plan. The direction we've received from council around zoning bylaw amendments to be reviewed by the Development Process Improvement Committee are also for council's consideration, and the draft changes are included in the agenda package for council. They would be intended to apply to all properties zoned for agricultural use. As the Mountain View Growers silvicultural farm operations have expanded to meet provincial contract obligations, the need for farm labour has certainly increased on their properties. So staff recommending that this application be supported and forwarded to the ALC for their consideration specific to their property. Just a quick overview of the project itself. Up on the screen is the site plan showing the location of the subject property in the black dotted lines and the red shaded area showing the location of the 11 modular units, which will be connected to form the 46-man accommodation or 46-person accommodation unit. The site also shows in blue where some of the regrading is going to be occurring, the cut area, and then the retaining wall along that western property line. In terms of the zoning amendment that Spring brought forward for the Mountain View Growers property specific to this property, there's 4 or 5 different components which I'll run through. The 11 units may be configured as a building to be used as a temporary farm worker accommodation with the following provisions. The building, including space for cooking, sanitary, living, sleeping, shall be used specifically to accommodate temporary farm worker housing employed on the farm. And this is intended to be a site-specific amendment specific to this subject property. The following requirements must also be met for this use to be conforming. And I won't read through in detail. They're provided in the attachment to the report. The intention would be, should council move this forward on a site-specific basis to apply these rules specific to this property, the larger amendment and wider application of those rules, as I mentioned earlier, would need to be forward to the Development Process Improvement Committee before being considered on a more general basis. But in an effort to keep this project moving, staff have identified the need to move this site-specific amendment forward if council support that direction. As I said earlier, the variances aren't being considered tonight. They should council move the zoning forward, the variances would come back at the once a public hearing is heard and the land use itself supported. But just quickly to show you where those variances are, the exterior side yard setback reduction from 4.5 meters to 2.5 is along that eastern property line. The reduction number of parking spaces required from 15 down to 6 spaces is shown there. The 6 spaces located on this property, obviously limited with the size of the property to accommodate all of the zoning bylaw requirements. And then the height of the retaining wall, you can see there along the western property line, the wall would be increased from 1.2, which is permitted under the zoning bylaw, up to 3.8 meters. So that gives you a snapshot of where the variances are located on the property. Again, they'll be considered in the future should the zoning portion of the application move forward, and at that time staff will provide rationale with information on each of those variances being proposed. Technical review is being completed on the application and is outlined in the report that speaks to future servicing agreements, building permits required for the retaining wall and farm worker housing. The architect, a couple of questions that we've had around the architect's requirement for the building permit stage. At this stage, we don't require an architect to get involved at the site planning and design phase, but depending on the eventual size of the buildings, an architect may be required. So that'll be a process that we'll be working with the property owner and the applicant on into the future. There's a new driveway proposed along Washington Street, so that'll, sorry, Blair Street, so that'll be, they'll require a new driveway access, and then all of the various servicing and health requirements will be part of the requirements moving forward. The application was sent to the Agricultural Advisory Committee for comments. The Agricultural Committee supported each of the components and specific to this property. The Advisory Planning Commission also reviewed the application, and I'll speak to this in a little bit of detail because they supported 2 of the 4 components that were brought forward to them for consideration. The non-adhering farm use was supported by the Commission. The zoning amendment was not supported. And you can see there some of the discussion in the minutes. I'll read that. Before forwarding the zoning amendment for council consideration and public hearing, the Commission would like the draft bylaw to be reviewed by the Development Process Improvement Committee. So that's certainly the intention, and that'll form part of the staff recommendation for discussion with council. With regards to the development variance permit, the Commission didn't have concerns with regards to the side yard setback or the exterior side setback change or the retaining wall. However, they were concerned with the reduction in parking spaces that are able to be provided on this specific parcel of land. So the staff recommendation that's provided in the council report is broken into 3 components. The first component looks at the non-adhering farm use application, supporting that and moving it on to the Agricultural Land Commission. The second component looks at the zoning amendment, the general farm worker housing zoning amendment, moving that forward to the Development Committee. And the third component is moving that forward to the variance process should council support the rezoning application. However, I've got an updated staff recommendation for council just to put this on the floor for discussion, which may clarify a few things. And certainly in the interest of keeping the specific project at Blair Street moving forward. The first component is consistent with the direction that we've been given by council to review the general farm worker housing regulations through the Development Committee. So we're still recommending that go through that process. The second, third, and fourth components speak specifically to the Blair Street project. The first one mentions moving that site-specific amendment forward to the public hearing, moving the development variance permit forward through the adoption of the zoning amendment specific to the property. And the fourth component speaks to moving this application through to the Land Commission. So we've revised that a little bit just for council discussion, but in staff's review of the original report, I think in staff's review, in order to move the application that's in front of council forward, we believe that separating that from the general amendment is prudent at this time to accommodate the 46-person modular unit development that is in front of council for review. So I'll leave you with that. That summarizes the project and look forward to answering any questions or clarifying things that council may have.
If you could take off your screen, stop sharing your screen so I can see everybody. Perfect. Yeah. Okay, questions? Not a single, oh, there, Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, thank you. So just for clarification, we don't want the Development Process Improvement Committee to be reviewing any sort of site-specific amendments, do we? So could you just explain to me what will be going to that committee for review?
Yeah, so definitely that's correct. The Advisory Planning Committee and the Agricultural Advisory Committee are the ones that will review specific applications. The Development Process Committee is not intended to review those applications. The intention that we received direction from council, I think in December last year, was to review the general farm worker housing amendment, and that's provided as attachment 7 to the council report. It will be that general amendment that would be brought forward to the committee based on the discussion that we had with council a few months back.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions?
Hello.
Councillor Barkwell?
Can you see everybody,
Yes, yes, I can.
So didn't we just pass a bylaw that said applications involving bylaw amendments, concerning land use will be held at first reading? So this just said to give it first and second reading right here tonight.
Sorry, I'm just looking at two readings. Yeah, so this is an application that we definitely want to have some discussion with council on as well. The zoning bylaw is certainly, and the zoning changes to support the farm worker housing is certainly supported through the community plan. So this may be a case that council may want to consider waiving a public hearing, for example. The OCP supports agricultural community and investment in the agricultural community from an economic perspective and a community development perspective. There's nothing really in the OCP that conflicts with the zoning application that's in front of council specific to this property. So that's it's certainly one of those cases that council may want to consider waiving a public hearing, but that information will be brought forward back to council, I believe, Karen, before the public hearing was waived.
That's correct. So the notification is exactly the same as if a public hearing was going to be held. So there is letters to affected property owners, notification in the newspaper, and then any correspondence that's received comes back to council at the meeting where you consider final readings.
Councillor Barkwell, follow up?
Yes, I mean, that's a different question, whether we want to waive the public hearing or not. I would, that's another debate, but it's in direct contravention to the bylaw that we just passed. It says it would be held at first reading. There's nothing there that says, unless we decide we're not going to hold it at first reading. So to me, we hold it at first reading. I argued against having it, and now you don't want to follow it. It just doesn't make any sense.
Mr. Haddad or Ms. Needham?
Yeah, that's a good point. The Karen, again, you can maybe speak to the amendments that were just passed, and whether or not they can be dealt with on an application by application basis.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think the being held at first reading, we still forward something to a public hearing, but we actually are holding it because we're suspending public hearings. Not sure if that helps clarify, but it doesn't mean that we're not forwarding things to public hearing, but when public hearings are suspended, they will be held at that first or second reading. Normally we do first reading, so we could amend that resolution to say first reading instead of first and second.
Councillor Barkwell?
Yes, if we just gave it first reading, that it would at least conform to the bylaw that we just passed, and then we could word some subsequent bylaw or resolution that, after we've had the debate about whether we want to waive the public hearing for this particular item or not.
Thoughts of staff?
I think, yeah, if council want to, Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, if council want to pass that to change it from 2 readings to keep it at first reading for now, and then we can certainly have that discussion around the public hearing. The public hearing, again, we'll get into that discussion in a second, but the public hearing will relate to the zoning bylaw itself. The development variance permit, that will be subject to the requirements for written submission and specific to those 3 variances.
Councillor Patton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To our CAO, is it still possible at first reading to send it to the Agricultural Land Commission?
Yes, so we'll forward this information to the Land Commission and keep in communication with them based on first reading, and then after the public hearings completed, if that is the case, then we'll send the end result to them as well.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. In the report, it talks about, just let me find this here for a second. Talks about the potential for the existence of archaeological sites. At what point does this, come into play?
So through the chair, your worship, so right now there's currently no trigger right now. An OCP amendment would potentially trigger a consultation requirement with First Nations. Right now there's nothing there's no legislation through the rezoning process that requires consultation. We'll obviously complete a review through our mapping system to see if there's any areas of significance on the subject property. But right now, there's no technical requirement that would, I guess, require an archaeological assessment with the information that's in front of us.
Okay. And given the pictures that we saw of the site that has already been prepared, it's probably too late to do an archaeological assessment anyways.
Likely, again, the earthworks permit that's been approved for the property allows the movement of dirt. It's not necessarily tied to the eventual application, although likely. But we are permitted to issue earthworks permits for the movement of dirt and on the property.
So what happens then when we hear from the Penticton Indian Band about this new development?
So I think the concerns may be raised. However, right now there's no technical requirement for us to consult with Penticton Indian Band on the applications that are in front of us. I know that's part of a bigger discussion that we've certainly got to have with our partners at the band around future land use applications and what it would apply to. Is it existing disturbed areas? Is it future greenfield development? All those discussions certainly need to be had over and above this application in front of us.
Okay. As you know, I would like to have that sooner rather than later. I'm getting a little tired of having Penticton Indian Band representatives take it out on me, to put it mildly. So that was one thing. The other thing I wanted to ask is the land that, it's my understanding that the 11 modular homes will be new housing, more suitable housing for the workers that are already living there in not so great conditions, which I think is a huge improvement. I'm just wondering if the new area that has been prepared, I suspect that what do they call it? A agrologist's assessment has been done, and that was not considered arable land. That has already been taken into account, right?
Yes, I believe
before
so.
the earthworks. Okay,
Yes.
Great. So those are my questions. Thank you for those answers. Anyone else have questions? Councillor Barkwell again.
Do we have anything about density for these sort of things? I mean, if that was a house, we wouldn't allow a 46-bedroom house to go there, but because it's for farm use, any density sort of things don't apply. Is that, is there any sort of, I see in the proposed bylaw, there's sort of certain maximums that are, for 0.2 hectares, 0.3, whatever they were, but what is an appropriate density?
Yeah, and the densities, it's a little different to unit per acre density calculation in a typical residential zone. What we've got in our agricultural zone is a maximum lot coverage, which speaks to the existing zone speaks 35% of the home plate. The home plate for this property is, just looking here, or the lot coverage proposed is 638 square meters. There's no real density calculation that we do have here. The one dwelling on a lot is allowed under the bylaw, and one dwelling, 46 units, 46 workers, sorry, is being proposed under this on the subject property. So one of the things that our planning department have looked to put on this property to restrict it to that number of units is a restrictive covenant that would speak to the maximum number of workers permitted and on this property. So it's a little different calculation than what would typically be looked at, and certainly a much different density of use compared to a typical residential area. So a little difficult to maybe compare.
Thank you.
Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a comment, if I may. These are additional units to what they have already. They need more workers. It's not that they're going to be moving workers. They just need more workers, and the accommodations that they have today are inspected yearly by the government to make sure they're adequate for the farm worker program. So the housing they do have existing is of quality housing for the foreign farm workers. A question, if I may, to our CEO. So how much longer are we talking before they could continue site prep and retaining wall work on this site? What's your estimated time?
So right now they've pretty much done as much as they can without triggering the variances on the retaining wall. So they've got it up to 1.2 meters. They can't go any higher there. And most of the site preparation work, to my understanding, is done until they can locate the property. So we need to have that discussion with council in terms of if they support providing first reading, for example, for this application. When does this come back for public hearing? If council are comfortable with waiving the public hearing, then that can come back within the next 2 to 3 weeks. If there's concerns with waiving the public hearing, we're going to have to wait until there's further direction from the province on the ability to hold a public hearing without the public being in attendance. So there's some of the discussion and decision points that we're going to have with council in order to move this site-specific application forward.
Okay, Councillor Trainer.
Do we know, does Mountain View growers have workers on their way now? Like I can imagine these workers might arrive and then they don't have housing if we don't, make a decision sooner than later.
Yeah, I don't know the exact answer to that question, but I can certainly find out for council.
Yeah, because I just worry that if they have a plane of people coming in and then they get here and they don't have anywhere to stay, that might be an issue.
Yeah.
Councillor Patton, did you have your hand up?
Yes, please, Madam Mayor. To our CAO, Anthony, you were talking that it talks about a 35% on the home plate. My question being is there lot line consolidations that have to happen with these properties to make that 35%? Because when you're looking at the mapping, it shows specific lots, and I'm just wondering if is there a requirement for lot line consolidation in regards to something like this?
Yeah, I don't believe there is, but well, I can certainly check and see what their intention is into the future. But I can see if I can answer for you for that question.
Thank you. Well, and just so you see what's in my head, because I'm looking at a specific parcel, and if the farm worker housing is more than 35% in regards to that one parcel, they would require a lot line consolidation to get the gross area that they would require for that amount of. It's just a question. Thank you.
Councillor Van Alphen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Question through to our CEO. Furthering Councillor Patton's question, these are modular units on skids. They're not permanent fixtures. Does that have any difference on the lot coverage? Because eventually, if the farm dissolved tomorrow or something happened, these units can be skidded out and put elsewhere. So they're not on a permanent foundation. So does that rule apply?
Yeah, so the lot coverage would apply because we deal with part of the discussion around lot coverage is around stormwater management, and it is a hard surface that covers that. So, but you're right, they are a temporary structure. It's my understanding they will be they're going to be affixed to each other to contain one larger housing complex, I guess. So they will form a more of a permanent type fixture than a temporary structure. But you are correct; they can be dismantled and repurposed in the future a lot easier than a permanent structure.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Anthony, do you have the revised amendment that you could put up on the screen again?
Yes.
Not the revised amendment, the revised recommendation.
Is that the one?
Yes. Thank you. Now, of course, I can't see anybody. So is there somebody that would like to bring this forward? You'll have to holler out.
I will, Madam Mayor. Councillor Patton.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Patton. And is there anyone that would like to second this?
I will second it, Councillor Trainer.
Councillor Trainer, thank you very much. So it's on the floor now for further discussion. Any more discussion on this?
Hello?
Councillor Barkwell, thank you.
No, I thought we were only going to go to first reading to be consistent with the bylaw that we had just passed. What is Councillor Patton? What has he put on the table? Is he going to read it out or just as it's written?
If I may, Madam Mayor.
Yes, thank you.
Barkwell's talking number 2, where it says bylaw number 2020-07, 2 readings and forward to bylaw for public hearing. I believe that Councillor Barkwell would like that changed to first reading.
Right.
And then what about the part forward the public law, the bylaw to public hearing?
Yeah, so the zoning bylaw amendment site-specific 11507 Blair Street, bylaw number 2020-007, first reading and forward the bylaw to public hearing.
Okay, so that amendment?
Read a first time and forward to the for public hearing.
Is that what you were thinking about, Councillor Barkwell?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So with that one amendment, really 2 readings, just first reading and forward the bylaw to public hearing. Any further discussion?
Could I just get clarification?
Councillor Holmes, yes.
Thank you. So if we want to have a discussion on whether we waive the public hearing or not, can we do that now or not? Or we're committed to public hearing?
CAO or Ms. Needham?
Yeah, we definitely want to have that discussion with council because I think, as Karen mentioned, the application still gets forwarded. We still do notification to all the residents. So, Karen, again, correct me if I'm wrong. Council could move these 4 components or recommendations forward, and then pass a separate resolution specific to waiving the public hearing if that is the direction. Is that correct, Karen?
At this point, I think it would be good to, that second recommendation, that first reading and the public hearing be waived. So it would be an amendment to that recommendation. Yeah.
Councillor Barkwell?
Yeah, I'd like to speak against that suggestion, because we're dealing with quite a number of items here all at once, and you might be for everything except for the waiving of the public hearing. So can't we just put another resolution on the table afterwards to whether we waive the public hearing?
So would you like to see item 2 taken out altogether and just read 1 and what is now numbered 3 and 4, and then have a oh, you don't want that. So you just want to have, what do you want?
It goes forward as is, and then we debate whether we would a resolution to waive the public hearing or not.
Oh, yes. So you want, okay. So we'll have a secondary debate after putting these forward.
Yeah.
That's what you're.
Yes, you know, it's like an omnibus bill or something. You know, there could be. I hate having so many things in one motion. You could be against the development variance permit, one aspect of it, but for, you know, forwarding the bylaw 005 to the Process Improvement Advisory Committee. I mean, it shouldn't be an all or nothing for all these things.
Would you prefer, Councillor Barkwell? I agree with you. I understand what you're saying there. Would you prefer if we looked at each one separately and then also had the public hearing discussion after looking at number 2 separately?
Yes, I think that's the perfect way of doing things. And it's not that, you know, we just have separate votes. I don't know if it'll change anything, but in some cases it may. And so as a practice, may as well go with that.
Okay, Ms. Needham, could you give me some guidance now on how we proceed? Do we need a vote of council on that suggestion, or does Councillor Barkwell need to make a motion, or how do we go?
You don't need a motion from council to separate them. I think the way that they're separated right now, 1, 2, 3, and 4, so you can go through them that way. You already have a mover and a seconder, and Councillor Patton and Councillor Traynor. So if they're willing to change that that motion to be the first one, for instance, we could just do that.
And
okay, so Councillor Patton.
I'm good with that, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Traynor.
Yes, I'm good with that.
Thank you. So back to you, Corporate Officer. Do we need to vote on this as amended?
Correct. You're voting on that zoning amendment, farm worker housing bylaw number 2020-005. Be read a first time, or sorry, be forwarded to the Development Process Improvement Advisory Committee.
And the second change, right, on number 2? First reading and forward the bylaw to public hearing rather than 2 readings?
If I may, Madam Mayor, I think we're just voting for number 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that is as it is kind of previously revised, that it be sent on to the Development Improvement Process Improvement Advisory Committee. Is there any further discussion on the first recommendation there? I can't see anyone when there's something on the screen. So, Councillor Barkwell.
Yeah, I'm inclined to vote against this one, unless somebody can explain to me why they think it's a good idea that it's in the purview of the Development Process Improvement Advisory Committee. You know, somebody likes that idea. Could you speak to that for me?
Well, I'm on that committee, so I'll throw my 2 cents in. I think it's important to understand that what is coming forward is the bylaw for farm worker housing as a whole, generally, not just this particular application. This is something that was identified fairly early on as an item that we could bring forward to the Development Process Improvement Advisory Committee. But of course, though, that absolutely can change. That is my understanding, and it seems to make sense to me, but I'm only one voice. So who else would like to comment on that? If anyone, Councillor Patton, you're also on the advisory committee.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with you totally, and I think what it is we'll be talking about the zoning amendment that's going to, one of the things about the Development Improvement Process Improvement Committee was to look at roadblocks, to look at where we were stalling the process. And so this application for Mountain View is going to be site specific, so it really doesn't come into play with the zoning that we'll be talking about. But I think that this is one of the key items that when we talked about was to find out if the new zoning bylaw, when this goes through for farm worker housing, if there was going to be roadblocks, if there was going to be something within that bylaw that could be late hits for our citizen or for our farmers that are creating these housing complexes. And we wanted to, within the committee, to shortcut that so that we fixed it instead of made it worse by moving forward with a bylaw amendment that didn't work.
Thank you, Councillor Patton. Anthony, did you have anything to add?
No, I think there was, I know when the general amendment came forward to council a number of months back, it was defeated, and there was discussion at that council meeting that it would have been preferred before council voted on it at that stage to have the committee review this specific farm worker housing amendment. So the committee unfortunately wasn't in place back then, but I do recall that was the discussion at that meeting. I believe it would have been December approximately.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Barkwell, do you have other questions on that?
No, thank you.
Okay, so you're good with that now? I mean, not necessarily that we changed your mind, but are you good with this, us going forward for a vote on this?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? I should ask that again. Okay, all in favor? And any opposed?
Can you see me?
As soon as you speak, I can see you. Yes. So you are opposed then, Councillor
Yes.
Barkwell? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. And so that particular one has carried, so item 1. Now on to item 2. That zoning bylaw amendment, site-specific 11507 Blair Street, bylaw number 2020007, be read a first time and forward the bylaw to public hearing. That's been first and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor, I think you want another
Sorry?
mover and seconder.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah, that's right. That was for all of them before, wasn't it? So could I, thank you, Karen, could I have a mover and a seconder, please?
I'll move it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Patton, and seconded by,
I'll
Already
second.
had hand up.
I see Councillor Holmes, so Councillor Holmes. So any further discussion on this one? I will call the question on item 2. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So that one carries unanimously. On to the third one regarding the development variance permits. Could I have a mover on this one, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Van Elfen, seconded by
I'll second.
Councillor Patton. Further discussion on this one?
I have a question.
Yes, Councillor.
What exactly does consideration coincidentally with adoption of the zoning amendment mean? Like if we were, say, to have a public hearing for the zoning amendment, we would also have, it would be a public hearing for this variance at the same time, or yeah, what exactly does it mean to us?
Yes, correct. So the intention would be to have these considered at the same meeting, but they're obviously tied to each other. If council doesn't support the zoning, for example, if that was denied, then the variances are not required because they can't support the use that was not approved. So, but the intention is definitely to deal with it. There wouldn't be a public hearing for the variance, it'd be a delegation and submission. So that's where council have the ability to receive written comment in response to those variances. But in staff's review, it makes sense to deal with those both at the same meeting so that all the issues can be heard somewhat at once.
So the wording, I think, should be 1.2 meters to 3.8 meters be considered coincidentally, right?
Yes, sorry, the B should still.
Okay, yeah. Does that clarify that for you, Councillor Barkle?
Well, I guess I was wondering why there wouldn't be a public hearing or a decision to waive the public hearing for this. I mean, I guess it's, you know, considering it coincidentally, maybe it is part of the public hearing for the or decision.
So I think through the chair, Your Worship, I think that the council will need to decide on the zoning amendment, and that will allow the use of the farm worker housing on this specific property. The variances then would need to be considered afterwards, once the zoning's approved, that allows for the modular housing, or if it is approved, sorry, for the modular housing, then council are going to have to consider how the siting of that modular housing is appropriate or not based on the variances that are coming forward. So so if a public hearing is held, likely all of the issues will come up, but they have to be considered separately. The zoning dealt with first, and then the variances as a separate application and decision-making process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion or comments on this? I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, so that is carried unanimously. And the last one, and that the non-adhering residential use application for temporary farm worker housing at 11507 Blair Street be forwarded to the ALC.
So moved.
Mover, thank you, Councillor Van Elfen, seconded by
Seconded.
Councillor Patton. Further discussion on this one? It's probably the easiest one. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously as well. Thank you. CAO, we're all good with that one then?
I think so. I think we also wanted to have a discussion on waiving the public hearing, and
Okay.
if council wanted to provide some direction on that, we obviously take that direction and move forward, or not.
Okay, could I ask you again to take your, to stop sharing your screen?
Okay.
And then I can see everyone. There, everybody's so beautiful. Okay, so discussion now on whether or not to waive the public hearing. So relating to when. Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, thanks. Just a question. Do we have any indication from the province of when they might be bringing forward any kind of proposals for alternate public hearing processes?
we're based on the meetings that we have, I think they're getting a lot of pressure from municipalities, at least to have some new guidelines that provide a bit more direction to municipalities, but could be this week, it could be next week. Mayor Boot's been in some of those conversations as well, but I don't think there any specific timelines being put in place other than advising us that they're working on it and taking it seriously, because there's the public process is obviously critical to the processes that local governments partake in.
If I could just add a little bit in here. I sent on notes from the last meeting, which was last Thursday, that Anthony was unable to attend. And in those notes, and I totally understand that you haven't had the chance to read them yet. In those notes, Minister Robinson was talking, again, this question came up about the public hearing, and she said that her staff is putting together documentation. I'm not sure how formal or official this is, but putting together documentation, providing examples of what other municipalities in British Columbia are doing in order to still have some fashion of public hearing and to still allow that democratic process to proceed. So she didn't say, again, she didn't give us a particular time that we might see that, or any guidelines on when we might see something that's more official, but she did say that her staff continues to work on it, and hopefully we'll have something, even if it's just, this is what other municipalities are doing, that kind of information, before too much longer. But again, she was not able to give us a timeline.
Okay. To follow up then?
Yes.
So if we waive a public hearing, what do we do in terms of putting the word out to how people can provide their feedback?
So we will send notification out to all of the residents that would typically get notified in the circumference. I think it's 150 feet or
30 meters.
30 meters. So all those people will get a letter saying that the public hearing is being waived. And I believe, Karen, that the application will be considered on the May 11th meeting, for example, if that's when this comes back.
And they will be invited to provide written correspondence that council will be circulated prior to the meeting. And council can consider the correspondence at that time and make a decision on moving forward or not. So.
See, I think we need to do something a little more than 30 meters in a case like this. 30 meters is nothing in rural areas. I don't know. I'd like to. I'd like to. If we go ahead with this, I'd like to see us make a bigger effort to make it easy for people to provide the written feedback if they still want, rather than just sending notices to 30 meters around.
I agree with Councillor Holmes. If we're going to be deciding whether or not we're going to have a public hearing on a one-by-one basis, perhaps we can look at the surrounding areas of the people that need to be accommodated on whether or not they have questions or comments in a larger area as well. Because 100 feet, that's not very much. Councillor Traynor.
I was thinking, instead of using the language waiving a public hearing, perhaps we could say that we were doing an online or a written style of public hearing, just so that we give the impression to people that we really are still listening and that we want all their feedback. It's just we can't have an in-person public hearing. I just think that kind of is perhaps better messaging and still invites people to submit their thoughts. And then also, can we put something on Facebook too and say, for a week, this week leading up to whenever we're going to make the decision is when we're taking feedback from people. And so anybody could give feedback. And then also I agree that we should expand. Is it 30 meters? Is that what it is? Or is it 150 feet? Or I thought it was 100 meters. Does anybody know for sure what the requirement is?
I'll get Karen to check that out, but just to your comment around the information we put into the letters, I think we've got to be careful because there's only specific things that we can waive a public hearing for. So we'd have to, and legislation allows us to do that. So we would certainly have to say in the letters that the public hearing is being waived if that's a direction we get from council, but we can certainly add on top of that the additional means that people can communicate with us on the project. One of the other things council may want to consider, it'll impact the timeline, but as opposed to a 2-week turnaround period from when people receive the letter, we may want to make that 3 weeks or 4 weeks, for example. So it will certainly impact the timeline, but may provide some additional time for people to respond to the application. So they're just some of the things that we can do in addition to increasing the area for notification. Council could add another couple of weeks in between the process if that's something you wanted to do.
And I do have clarification, Council. It is 30 meters in the procedures bylaw for all OCP bylaw or temporary use.
So about 100 feet then. Councillor Patton, I'll get to you in just a moment. I just was wondering, and this follows up on Councillor Trainor's question just a minute ago. I'm just wondering if it would be possible to investigate the use of the town hall meeting feature on WebEx to have that kind of public input. Just a thought.
Madam Mayor, I believe right now that doesn't meet the legislative requirements. I'd have to check that, but I'm pretty sure it has to be presentation to council. There's the ability for them to speak to anything that's brought forward as well. But we are recording this particular meeting, and we are looking at how we can live stream meetings. So certainly trying to move us forward with technology as best as we can.
Good, thank you for that. Summerland Review will be happy to hear that as well. Councillor Van Alphen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If we waive the 30-meter requirement and increase it, do we set ourselves up for the future for any public hearing? You know, then people are going to come to us and say, how come I can't, you know, submit my opinion on this project just because I'm with, you know, I'm not in the 30-meter zone. So if we do it for this one, do we have to do it for all? You know, if legislation says it's 30 meters, then I think we should stick to the 30 meters and and go from there.
So through the chair, Your Worship, so our procedure bylaw has it at 30 meters. That would be applied to every other application that comes forward. Council can, on a specific basis, increase that. There's nothing stopping you adding another 30 meters and doubling that, for example, on this specific case. And that wouldn't be applied to any other applications. But again, it'll be a decision of council on this specific application.
Councillor Trainer, did you have your hand up?
Oh, quickly, I just wanted to say that 30 meters though only applies to people who actually get a notification, but anybody can submit their feedback, right? Yeah, okay. Okay.
And to that point, it's actually advertised in the paper as well. So anything will go in the paper to the community. So whoever gets the paper.
And on our website as well, is that correct, Karen? Yes. Councillor Barkle.
I was just going to make the same point, Your Worship.
Okay, so we've had lots of questions. We don't have a motion on the floor yet. Is there someone that would like to bring that forward? And please state the motion. Nobody is interested in bringing forward the motion to waive the public hearing?
I'll bring one forward.
Councillor Holmes,
Yeah,
did you want to make, oh, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I'll move that we waive the public hearing for what the heck for now? For the zoning amendment? farm worker housing bylaw 2020-005?
No, that
No,
was 007 is the
oh,
site specific one.
okay.
Okay.
07.
07. Thank you, Councillor Holmes. Seconder,
I'll second it. I just have a question, just for
Councillor.
clarification. So if we do
Okay.
waive it, Anthony, can you just explain then again what opportunity the public does have to comment then? Like they'll get, like the people within 30 meters or 60 or whatever we decide will get a notice, but then how does everybody else find out about it? Just in the paper? And
Yeah, so Karen, you can maybe speak to it. I think we'll advertise it in the paper that the public hearing is waived. As with any application, it'll be on the website, Facebook. We'll get the information out there that this is being waived specific to this application.
And our notification, we can also include extra, kind of extra instructions about providing written correspondence, and certainly that it can drop off at Municipal Hall or email or any specific way that they would like to drop it off. So newspaper, Facebook, all the social media channels. And yeah, other than that, I think pretty much we can get the message out.
So should I include
Councillor
that?
Oh,
Sorry.
Councillor Trader, you got a follow up?
oh yeah, and this might be going overboard, but is it worth it to say anywhere in our ad why we're waiving? Because I don't think we've waived a public hearing before. And I assume people probably know why we are, but I just thought that maybe we might want to put a little note in there that says, under these circumstances, this is why we're doing it this way.
We certainly can do that, as well as we always include the legislative reference that says, you know, this public hearing is being waived under the legislation as well.
Okay.
Councillor Holmes.
Yes, so should we include that in the motion? Both in terms of why it's being waived and also the additional measures that we'll take to seek public input, or is that just understood?
I think it would be understood. We can make that note to staff and include that in the minutes.
Okay.
Related to that question, Karen, is now the time to include, if Councillor Holmes wants to add this to the motion, the change in the distance from 30 meters to something else, if that's something that gets seconded and we approve, or when would that come in?
Yeah, that could be part of this amendment, because that is a change to your procedures bylaw. So that could be part of the amendment. Sorry, part of the motion.
Okay. Councillor Holmes, or do you want to just not bother with that now?
No, I'm happy to include that, Madam Mayor. I don't really know the lay of the land there, so how much further we ought to include. You know, make it 60, but that might not make any difference whatsoever. But yeah, whatever number, you know, to make it a little more expansive, I'm fine with.
Thoughts, Anthony?
It'll be up
Anyone?
up to council. There obviously are larger agricultural properties there, but doubling it, I'm just trying to get a map up to try and figure out what doubling the size may do to the number of properties that are notified on an application like this. Okay, I'm going to try and share my screen. If council are okay, I'll try and share my screen with you just so you can see what the distances would be. So I think council can see that now. And I don't know if you can see my cursor, but
Yeah.
you can see that the 30, you'll see roughly 30 meters is that far. Is that up on the screen and clear?
Yeah.
So 30 meters from each of those property lines around the subject parcel. If you go out to 60 meters, it doesn't really add too many properties. The properties on the east and west sides of Washington are owned by the same company. It's the properties on the north side. This property here, I believe, is owned by another separate property owner. So doubling it will potentially capture 1 or 2 more parcels. You've really got to go out 250 meters, given the size of these parcels, to really, I guess, touch additional properties over and above those that would be notified anyway, which are largely these 2. Does that make sense? Or does that help at all?
Yeah. Well, it does help visualize that it really doesn't make much of a difference in this particular application or this particular public hearing notification. But I think that, following again on what Councillor Traynor said, if we're going to, because this is the first time we've done this, and I appreciate what Karen has said about making sure that we are communicating in a number of different ways through the media that we possibly can, so that people, and maybe people have a longer time to respond. Those kinds of things I think are good to include, at least in this first go around. Any other thoughts, Council?
Hello? Hello?
Councillor Barkwell.
Are we still talking about the notification aspect of this question or the resolution in general?
You can talk about whatever you want related to this particular resolution.
Okay. So the issue of having a wider sphere of notification comes up a lot, it seems. And as Anthony pointed out, it doesn't make a lot of difference in this case. But, you know, that's a different question really than you know, you can expand notification, but it doesn't really deal with the issue of representation. And that's what this is about. Waiving the public hearing is whether the opportunity that people have to make representation, not whether they're notified or not. And, you know, additional notification doesn't make up for the lack of being able to make representation, you know, in person. So I am speaking against the waiving of a notification, waiving of the public hearing. In my mind, if this is a really significant item in comparison to so many others that we've dealt with that I think are really uncontroversial. The last one I can think of was Councillor Patton's son down there. Not one person pulled up for the public hearing. It was all zoned and all residential intents to begin with. You know, everything fit. There was no you know, the change was relatively minor. Here I see 46 units next to a few houses. If you've been up there, there's one in each of those lots, set back a little bit across from this spot. You know, I wouldn't really want to make this decision without representation. I may or may not be for it in the end, but I think I would be really definitely not wanting to make it without giving them, of all the decisions we make, that we would waive representation on this one.
Thank you, Councillor Barkwell. Anybody else?
Madam Mayor?
Oh, yes.
Just to be aware, we haven't yet formalized a resolution, or we have nothing on the floor. It's just a discussion so far.
Oh, I thought that we had done that.
Councillor Holmes has said that he would move a motion, but we hadn't really landed on what that was.
Okay, Councillor Holmes, have you landed on what that is?
I don't know. I was putting the motion just to get on the floor there to waive. I thought I had made a motion and
I thought so as well, but
We
I
need
guess
a
it.
seconder.
seconded.
I thought Councillor Trainer seconded it.
I was going to, and then I had a question.
Yeah, you did, and then you had a question, and then that got us to where we were, or where we are. So, Councillor Holmes, seeing as how, Karen, do you have anything recorded on what it was that you do?
I do. So
Thank
that council waived public hearing for zoning amendment farm worker housing bylaw number 2020-007. And if Councillor Trainer wants to second that motion, then we can put that on the floor.
Sorry, did you have a distance in there? I was just looking at a map.
There's
Yes.
no distance in here yet.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay, so now we have that officially moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Councillor Holmes.
I understand what Councillor Barkwell is saying, and I'm certainly torn by this one myself. Is trying to balance that need for providing public input with being able to get a project moving along, and we're kind of stuck here right now, not knowing the best way to proceed because we haven't really got the direction from the province of how we can proceed with public hearings. So I'd be prepared certainly to defer this motion, for the next council meeting or vote on it again. It's I'm torn myself. So I don't know.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. I just have a question before going to Councillor Trainer. Is this item something that we can include in a special council meeting agenda, our Wednesday, Friday ones, or does it have to come to a regular council meeting?
If you're having a special meeting, Madam Mayor, you can include these items. It's not recommended because it's not a regular meeting of council.
Right.
But yeah, again, some things are considered at a special meeting for a certain purpose. I'm not 100% sure this would be a purpose.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Trainer.
I agree with Councillor Holmes. I'm kind of torn on this as well. I think that we could defer it until we hear from the province, but at the same time, I don't want to hold back too much. Mountain View is probably waiting to get going, and so who knows how long this could last. I do take some comfort in the fact that people can give their feedback still. It's just not in the traditional way in council chambers, face to face, but they're still welcome to submit all, whatever they want to, and we all read that. So I think that's kind of making the best of the situation, because obviously we would not normally be doing this. Normally we'd be having a face-to-face public hearing, and I think that people understand that. And so for those reasons, I'm okay to go forward with this, but if others want to wait or defer, I could be persuaded as well.
Thank you, Councillor Trainer. Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am too torn between, I don't know which direction to go in. I'm so confused. I wish we had some direction, but at this point in time, I would leave the 30 meters personally. We would advertise the public, the public hearing, that people can write their submissions to us and waive the public hearing. Like, the problem I see today Madam Mayor, is that we have very little happening in our community. Here's an opportunity for some expansion and growth, which is much needed for this agricultural situation. And people still have the opportunity to voice their concerns. Even though it's not face-to-face, they can do it in correspondence. And I'd like to try to go forward with this. I hate to see us, postpone this 3-4 weeks down the road. And if we, the province, we may not hear anything from the province. So we're going to have to look at every one of these on an individual basis and make some decisions, because I think we need to keep going forward in our community the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Van Elfen. Anyone else? Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. When it comes to the ALC and the applications that go forward to them, are those applications where somebody has an objection? Are those written objections? Or, because I don't think that they were an in-person public hearing per se for the ALC. So realistically, if we looked at doing this process and the person was in disagreement, they would probably be doing some sort of correspondence to the ALC, and in turn we would get a copy, or they could send us a copy of that same correspondence of disapproval. Am I kind of on the same track to our CAO? Is that somewhat on how it would work?
Yeah, I think the ALC process is somewhat separate, and any written correspondence that's included in council's decision-making process. So should council support the zoning amendment, we'd send that information off to the ALC with a copy of all of the staff report and any of the correspondence received. So the information that the surrounding neighborhood may send to council, if they've got concerns or they're in favor of it, that'll be included for council, but also forwarded on to the ALC for their review as well. But ultimately, the process that we needs to keep moving forward by waiving the public hearing, or delayed by not waiving the public hearing and keeping it first reading, is around the zoning amendment and council's decision.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I agree with Councillor Van Elpen and Councillor Holmes. I don't want to see us stalling the process. It's not the best process that we can look at, but right now I think it's our only option that's available to us. So I think waiving this, waiving the hearing and allowing correspondence to come into us, I think is probably the best of two evils. And I think this is the route I'll move that we go forward with in this respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Patton. I guess I have a question. Not sure if it's for Anthony or Karen, but I'll address it to you, Anthony. Councillor Traynor brought up the potential possibility of extending the amount of time for people to comment. Now, for the same reasons that we've just heard from the other councillors, we don't want to delay this a whole length of time, but time would you think would be appropriate?
There we go, unmute myself. The next council meeting that's scheduled is April 27th. Based on our notification requirements, we won't be able to meet that. So the earliest this application would come to council would be on May 11th. Karen, I think that's correct, for the public hearing, or for the consideration of second, third, and adoption of this bylaw with all the information. So I think, Karen, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but we could put notification out to the surrounding residents by the end of this week, and that gives them 3 to 4 weeks, Karen, to receive and provide input that will be included in the package information we bring back to council for consideration. So typically, I think we'd probably wait another week to send a letter out, but in this case, we can provide that additional week by sending out the letters towards the end of this week in a notification of the May 11th council meeting. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So that gives extra time for them. It also gives extra time for anyone in the community to provide their comments, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, any further discussion on this item that's on the floor? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Councillor Barkwell. I certainly understand your position, Councillor Barkwell. Okay, so that carries then. Is that the final thing that we need to talk about in terms of this particular agenda item, Anthony? Okay, so could we have a short recess while Aaron Carlson is contacted and resumes the meeting? Thank you. Did you think we've forgotten about you, Councillor Carlson?
No, I knew you hadn't forgotten about me. I figured you all had a lot to say, though. So I wasn't in a hurry.
We had a good discussion. Okay. On to item 7.3, Development Services Monthly Report for March, CAO.
So just a quick summary of the report that was presented on the March development statistics. The development applications in progress, you can see we've got a number of variances that will be coming forward to the next council meeting on April 27th. So we're going to have a busy meeting then. We're going to try and move as many of those forward to that meeting as we can. And then you can see the additional applications that are in process towards the bottom half of the list that will be coming forward to council or issued by staff. The statistics so far, I just want to point out, Councillor Barkwell pointed out to me earlier in the week some inconsistencies with the total construction value in 2017 and 18 that's mentioned in the report, which is a little different to the reported data that we have on our website. So we're just going to investigate with our development services team that information to make sure it's clarified for our next update in May. The development statistics are there for council's information, and if you've got any questions, I'll see if I can answer them. Thank you.
Okay, any questions of staff? All right, could I have someone bring forward this to receive for information, please? Councillor Holmes, Councillor Van Elfen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. All right, thank you. I have to keep flipping back and forth here. So on to item, I guess this is public comment opportunity, which should have been up before number 7. But do I just state that it's public comment opportunity and that there are no public to comment, Karen, or what's the process?
Madam Mayor, that's we did provide that information at the beginning of the meeting because of the letters that were written about the different items. So we just move forward with the next one.
Okay, and so that will be the same at the end of the meeting, our second public opportunity?
Yeah, that one has not received any general correspondence. So there's nothing in that one.
Okay, and nothing from the
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So on to report 9.1, road closure and removal of dedication bylaw 2019. And this I think is needed.
Correct. So I'm just going to share my screen with you again, Council. So on October 8th, Council approved the road closure and sale of a section of Slater Road as requested by the property owner at 19609 Matsu Drive. There's actually 3 adjacent property owners who are in agreement for the purchase of the closed road adjacent to their properties. Following the first 3 readings of the bylaw, notification of this road closure and sale will be provided to the public. with the bylaw returning to council for adoption once the agreements have been executed. So the motion in front of you is that we give this particular bylaw read a first, second, and third time, and that the purchase sale agreements for the consolidation of those portions of the closed roads with the adjacent property owners be completed prior to adoption of this bylaw. And that concludes.
Thank you. Any questions of Karen on this? Okay, could I ask someone to bring this forward for first, second, and third reading? I can't see folks while the screen is being shared, so please
Madam
speak
Mayor,
up.
I'll bring it forward as written.
Aaron Carlson also.
Thank you, Councillor Carlson. Any discussion on this? It's fairly straightforward. All right, so I will call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? No, so that's carried. Thank you. On to 9.2, parcel tax review panel meeting. I think this is for you as well, right, Ms. Naden?
That's correct. So I'm going to share my screen again and provide you with, apologies, current slide. There we go. So the parcel tax roll review panel meeting be held on Monday, April the 28th, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. to review, consider any complaints, make corrections, and authenticate the roll. So the meeting itself was not set at the last meeting when we appointed all the councillors, and this was because of the uncertainty around the public being able to attend that meeting. The recent order, that the ministerial order of the province, is actually applied to this particular meeting, so we can hold an electronic meeting and accept written submissions. So we're asking that that our 3 parcel tax roll review panel council members set the meeting for April 28th, and my apologies, it should be Tuesday, April 28th, and that was a last minute change. So I'm hoping that councillors Patton and Trainer and Van Alphen can make the Tuesday meeting.
Okay. Councillors Patton, Van Alphen, and Trainer, are you able to make that Tuesday meeting?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Van Alphen, you're good to go? Okay, Councillor Trainer, I've seen you nodding. Perfect. So could I have, well, anyone can bring forward this. Thank you, Councillor Holmes.
I'll bring forward as.
Oh, Councillor Holmes. And you'd like to second Councillor Patton? All right.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, perfect. Thank you again to those 3 councillors for taking this on. 9.3, solar and storage project deep site analysis analysis, I guess, results. CAO. Unmute yourself.
There we go. Thank you. So I just wanted to provide this report for council's information this evening with the intention to have the range of consultants that have supported the information that council requested to be undertaken come back to the April 27th, 2020 regular evening meeting. So there's a lot of information contained in this report, and we want to provide council and the community with additional time to review it in terms of the presentation material provided, the project community survey results, the environmental inventory assessment, the geotechnical assessment, and the stage 1 and stage 2 preliminary site investigation. So all of those reports and summarized in the council report. The reports themselves are attached to the agenda item, and we'll be looking at bringing this back, as I said, to council on April 27th with a full and detailed presentation of council's discussion and direction before moving forward on this project. Thank you.
So hearing that we've got another 13 days to digest this report, at least a little bit, are there any questions over what he just presented to us? Nope. So could I have somebody bring forward the Resolution that it be received for information and that the presentation, a more fulsome discussion and report presentation be scheduled for our next meeting, April the 27th. Councillor Holmes and Barkle. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Councillor Barkle.
I was going to propose a resolution that said that this be brought forward to a meeting where the public can attend, much like our public hearings. We have made all the previous decision on this land use in the closed session. I think that we've never really had a decent opportunity for people to come to council and address us on this matter. The only time was my resolution that it was on the agenda was my resolution to get an appraisal done for the property, and two former mayors spoke at that time. But really, now that we have this information out there in the public domain, I would like to see it presented at a meeting where the public can attend and make their comments known. And who knows when that will be.
That's true. Councillor Carlson.
I appreciate that comment, Councillor Barkle. I think that we've had a lot of conversation in the last 2 weeks about how the public can give their input to things that council needs to continue to talk about and issues, projects that are moving forward. We've been talking about this for how many years now? A decision was made to get this analysis and to get all of this reporting done. And I think that it would be absolutely devastating if we stopped and waited for however many weeks, maybe months, before we're able to move forward on this project. There are ways that public can engage in our meeting that we're having right now, and there's concerts that are being put on over Zoom. I mean, people can tune in if they want to, so maybe there's a way that we can make that happen. But I would, I'd like to see us moving this forward and having this conversation. And the public will get a chance to have their input, because they already are. The ones that are paying attention to this project, they've sent us their information, and we could ask them for more. We could ask them to somehow contribute to the next meeting that we have.
Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have to agree with Councillor Barkwell. I think that we need an in-person public input on this. We've now that these site investigations have come out, it's kind of shed a different light in regards to this property than what we may have thought was there for on a contaminated site, which what's not in what that's reported in the reports, that it's not contaminated. And I think what that's done is that's kind of opened up a little bit of a box here that we need some public input. And I agree with Councillor Barkwell, is we didn't have a whole lot of time for site selection. We didn't pick the site selection. It was given to us not in a public forum. And I really feel that we should be allowing the public to have a say, and not just send us a letter. We get letters, correspondence all the time, but I think this is a very high profile site, and it's high profile for the amount of dollars. And I don't think we should take it lightly on our citizens having to want to have their say in regards to the site selection. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to Councillor Barkwell, and then to Councillor Van Elfen.
I'll let Councillor Van Elfen go first, since I've already spoken.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
agree.
Thank you, Councillor Barkle.
I agree. I mean, it's a very large, humongous project for the municipality of Summerland. There's a lot of questions that the public have that, you know, now, like Councillor Patton said, the land has come back with a clean report. Is this the best use for this piece of property? I think the public needs to have the opportunity to ask those questions. And, you know, it was asked before what the value of this property is, and now that it has a clean bill of health, so to speak, maybe it's the time to get an assessment on this property to find out what the real true costs are. But I'd like to have this meeting in public. I'd like the public to have the opportunity to be there, personally. That's my personal opinion. Thank you.
Councillor Barkwell?
I find that these Zoom meetings are a poor substitute for the in-person meetings that we normally have, and an even poorer substitute for representation from the community. And this is essentially a land use decision. This is a huge land use decision. It's fundamental. Without it formally being a change to the OCP, it is a change to our OCP, because I don't think anybody in council can deny that all previous plans have been for expansion out to the west there. We've had people come and tell us that have been on council before. We've had, and I recently found out something even more that I wasn't aware of, that all the development up there at Sunset was installed back about 2008, with all the lines buried to connect up to the sewer, because sewer was anticipated to come right up through that way and replace the communal septic field that they have. Not to mention that we need to, that I figure the financial analysis is kind of bogus. There's no accounting for the decommissioning costs. The questions that I'd had before weren't properly answered. I kind of gave up on it, but maybe I'll make another stab. All projects, they said that the decommissioning costs were too hard to calculate. That's just not true. Our landfill requires decommissioning costs to be calculated. Any mining project requires decommissioning costs to be calculated. The cost of the land and the cost of the decommissioning should all be incorporated into what the value of this project is, and people in the community be made aware of it through a well-attended open forum. I note that when Penticton did a study on solar, they included comments from the BC Utility Commission, which in reference to a proposal by Fortis, said that the Utilities Commission denied it, said it's not in the public interest, no savings to customers, and no material greenhouse gas emission reductions. And the same can be said for this solar project, on top of the everything else, the land use question. So I think that we need a real opportunity for people to be able to come and address us on these and hear the debate on the matter.
Councillor Carlson.
Before I speak, I'm just wondering if Councillor Holmes or Trainer has something else to add. I'm just processing my thoughts.
Thank you, Councillor Carlson. We'll come back to you. Councillor Holmes.
I didn't come prepared to discuss this tonight. I was looking at the proposed recommendation that we receive this for information to be discussed at the next meeting, and that's what I intend to do, so I have nothing to say.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. Councillor Trainer?
I wasn't prepared to discuss this either. I did read through all of the information, but I saw that we wouldn't be discussing this till the 27th. And I think that if we do start discussing it, we're going against exactly what Councillor Barkwell just said, that he doesn't want us to discuss it in here. He wants a public meeting. So, you know, I don't think we should start giving our opinions if you know, that's not what's on the agenda. The agenda is just to accept what we've been given.
You're right, and that was my error. I prefaced opening this up by saying, given what we've just heard from our CAO, that we're going to bring this back on April the 27th, and then I didn't, stick by what I said. Councillor Carlson, are you ready to speak now? And then we'll go back to Councillor Barkwell.
I guess my final thought, I was watching Obama's speech today at minute 6:45. He talks about coming out of this strange pandemic on the other side and trying to do things better and do things properly for the future, including new industry and new opportunities and all these things. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity on the other side of all of this, and we can't wait for 6 months or 6 years before we do something cool, because we've been working on it for a long time. So I'd look forward to the 27th when we get to find out more from those who have done all the work on this. And I hope that includes Tammy, but maybe not.
Councillor Barkwell, and then back to Councillor Traynor.
My point was that I would like to defer this to reception and discussion of this from the 27th to a date when the public could be in attendance. And I gave the reasons why, that it's important that the public be attending it. Just because it's cool doesn't make it a rational decision. That's the problem with this project. It has that cool factor. Oh boy, look at us in Summerland, we're going to have a solar project. So I think that the public should be able to weigh in and hear the debate on this, and it can't be done as a Zoom meeting, it has to be done. So I raised my hand, not into seconded, but actually motion that it be deferred until and received when the public could attend, but that's not how it worked out.
Okay, my apologies. I thought that your hand was raised to second the motion. I'll get back to you in just a second. I'd like for Councillor Traynor again. You had your hand raised, Councillor Traynor?
No, I'm good. I just realized what she was saying. I'm just wondering, I don't have a problem with, I think it is important actually for the public to participate in this. It's just the problem is that we don't know when that's going to be. And so that's the really hard part. And say we can't have meetings for 6 months if we don't know. Does that put the entire project in jeopardy? I don't know how long we have to.
Anthony, are you able to speak to that at all? I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I can get the exact information for council, but from what I understand, the $6 million from the federal government has until either the end of 2023 or 2024, I believe, to be used. So there is some time there, and but I can certainly clarify that. And I think, like all large grants right now, it would not be unreasonable to expect that the federal government or province would extend some of those deadlines, given what we're all going through right now. If that's a question around the timeline for spending those funds, if that's the eventual decision.
Just a question on that. That would be for the completion of the project at
Correct.
This point is the end of 2023. Okay, thank you. Councillor Traynor, you had a follow-up?
To that, is there, like, if the federal government hasn't given us this money yet, but they have committed to it, is there any chance that they could pull back on this now that, you know, we're basically spending everything we have and we're going into debt? Is there any chance that they could say, you know what, we're canceling all these kind of projects now?
Through Chair, Your Worship, not to my knowledge at this stage. There is obviously a commitment from the federal government for this project, for this site. If that change, for example, that may be a different story, but all those are questions that would have to be answered based on the direction that's eventually provided by council.
Councillor Patton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In the report, it is September 23.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor already. We had some discussion on that. Could we vote on that motion, and then we will go to, if it doesn't carry, we'll go to Councillor Barkwell. Is that, oh, is Karen still here? Yes, she is. Karen, is that the way to proceed with this?
That's correct, Madam Mayor. Yes.
So the motion on the floor is as presented in our agenda, the staff recommendation, 2 parts to that. It's been moved, seconded. So I'll call the question unless there's further discussion. Councillor Barkwell?
I think based on where I'm sitting, that the deferring it has to have its limit, like Councillor Turner said. If we're still in the situation from 6 months from now, then we're going to have to do something. So I would like to make that hopefully see this motion defeated and a new one proposed, with the expectation that before the end of the summer we're having a meeting. And if it doesn't go that way, we should want to revisit this.
Okay, Councillor, we'll ask you to discuss the motion that's currently on the floor. I totally get what you're saying, and maybe when you bring forward, you can include that. So, is there any further discussion on the motion that's currently on the floor?
I still believe all this discussion that we're having is something that should follow. We're just we're receiving something for information and asking for a presentation for the next meeting. I think any further motions from that has to come from that, and I don't really see why we would, unless this motion is defeated. I don't see why it should be. I don't see why there can be any subsequent motion at this point. We would need to wait until after the presentation at the next meeting.
Okay, Councillor, I hear what you're saying. That will be coming forward if this motion is defeated. And Councillor Barkle has the option to come forward with an alternate motion if something is defeated. So we do have to allow that option to do that. Okay, so Councillor Carlson.
So we have all the information. I'm just wondering if it's already been uploaded to this website to the project database, and if we can ensure that the general public knows that it's there and that it's covered for discussion. And we're having these conversations all day because I think that people are paying attention. They're all online now, so I didn't let them know.
Well, the agenda, it's part of the agenda package, and the agenda is up on the web. It's put up there just after we get it. And I am also on climate action email list, and I did receive information from Tammy last week, I think it was, that we were going to be receiving the information tonight, and that there would be further discussion on the 27th. So people that are part of that at least know that it's out there. If that helps at all. Sorry, I was muted. Councillor Traynor and then Councillor Barkle.
I think Councillor Barkle was first.
You're muted, Tony.
Sorry,
Barkle.
I just wanted to point out that the way the motion reads is that to be scheduled a regular evening meeting for consideration. So if it's presented, if this motion goes forward, then 2 weeks from now we will receive this information, discuss it, potentially adopt it, and that would be the very last time that this whole matter, this would be discussed. As far as I can see, that would be the last opportunity for ever to get a deal. So I think it's a very consequential decision here.
Okay, Councillor Traynor, do you have anything to discuss on the motion that's on the floor?
Yes, I guess I just quickly want clarification that if we have the presentation next 27, we're receiving it for information, then is that our final decision at that date?
It shows for adoption consideration. Okay. It's up to whether or not after we have our discussion. Karen? Okay, so I'm going to call the question on the motion that's on the floor, and that's the one that's written on our agenda. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, so that is 3 in favor, 4 opposed. So that's defeated. Now, Councillor Barkle, did you want to bring forward a resolution? Is that the way to do it? Karen, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to confirm who was opposed, please.
Oh.
And I can see Councillor Patton.
Yes, he's opposed.
Okay, thank you.
2 hands, Karen.
There we go.
So you have 4 names. Okay.
I'd like to propose a motion that the solar storage project detailed site analysis report of April 14th, 2020 information, and that presentation of the solar storage project recommendations as outlined in the report dated April 14th, 2020, scheduled at the first available date when public meetings are once again available.
Thank you, Councillor Barkle, and Councillor Nelson, you're seconding that. Okay. Is there anyone that has a question or like? Okay, Councillor, and then Traynor.
I'm wondering if we might be wise to put in at the latest date, so they're not using motion people, and then assuming it's never going to come back and stuck in lockdown for the next 6 months, 8 months, 12 months before we can come again. I'd like to see some sort of end to.
Councillor Traynor and then Councillor Barkle.
Yeah, I would like to put an ending on this so that at least we can discuss it and say, 1 month or 2 months, and still where we are now. The reason why I voted against the last one is because I do think that the public should listen to a discussion in person. But I just don't want this to go to right now forever. So I think we should somehow set a timeline so we can revisit it. But I don't know what the time is, 1 month or 2 months. Anyone have any suggestions?
Councillor Barkle, would you be amenable to changing that just a little bit?
Yes, I was thinking about that as I was speaking, and so I went, oh no, we kind of need a a date here because I think earlier that it can't go on forever. So I think the way to do that would be to make somebody pose an amendment to the motion and I'll make an amendment to my own motion. It can be done. It's very friendly. I'm dealt the same way. You vote, you make it, and then you vote on it on the amendment. So I'll propose an amendment that the first available date that the public is in attendance, or by the first meeting in August, if the public is not in attendance by then.
Do I have a seconder for this amendment? Councillor Patton. And then Councillor Carlson, you wanted to speak to this?
Oh, I was going to say 15th of June, but that's neither of us.
So August, the first meeting in August was first, right? First meeting in August, or yes. Okay, that is moved and seconded. Any further on this one? Oh, Councillor.
I just wonder if we could hear from staff, if we can, if they know, or CAO, if what impact that would have on timelines.
Through the Chair, Your Worship, with the September 2023, I think will certainly be tight in terms of the ability to complete the project, but a lot of is not known right now around that process. So I think another 4 months, for example, or 5 months delay may impact things. If that resolution is passed by council, certainly fund what that is, and if there's information that they provide, we can certainly bring that back to council in advance. But again, given the COVID-19 event that's going on right now, it would be surprising if extensions to existing grants were not provided by those funders.
Okay, Councillor Holmes. Okay, Councillor Traynor.
I don't want to split hairs, but we had one council propose June 15th, and we had another one propose August 1st. So what about July 1st? That's kind of a, not too far from now, but we're not well into kind of halfway. So
we have a motion on the floor that's been moved and seconded. So we can deal with that first. But if it's defeated, we can go to July the 1st. Okay, just as we did a few minutes ago. Councillor Barkle.
Oh no, I'll hold that comment.
For comment now, it's on the floor. Did you want to talk to this?
No.
I'm not sure what you want to talk about.
No, I have my back down. I don't have a comment further to the amendment.
Okay. So the amendments for August the 1st, or whatever date, or whatever is early between August the 1st or a meeting open to the public. No further discussion on this. All right, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, so I think Councillor Barkley, you voted twice. I'm going to call the question again.
I was just slow.
Okay, all those in favor of this August 1st, whatever days earlier motion. Councillor Patton, Councillor Barkle, and Councillor Malfin. Opposed? Okay, so that's defeat. Well, okay.
I'll make an motion.
Yeah,
Okay. I'd like to amend the motion on the table to June 15th, or whatever's earlier.
So we do this?
June 15th, I mean the first meeting.
So the motion was defeated, so we need another motion.
So it's not an amended motion.
Just the amendment.
It was just the amendment. We didn't vote on the motion. We voted on the amendment. Or else we never voted on any amendment.
No, we voted on the motion because the first motion was defeated, and then the second motion came up with this date.
And the motion was amended. So
that's right. It was amended with a date in it. Yes. So we voted on the amended motion. That was defeated.
No,
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure we just voted down the amendment of August 1st. We didn't get to vote.
That's
on
what I just said. We voted on the excuse me, Councillor Carlson. We voted on the defeated amendment. Question to you, Karen, is: Do we start all over again, or can Councillor Carlson just change the date?
I think in this situation, Madam Mayor, if the council believed they were going just on the amendment, I would say an amendment that was defeated, and we can amend be brought forward to the first available date that the public is in attendance, and we can amend that one.
So we can amend the date.
Correct.
Okay. And Councillor Carlson, so you're proposing, correct?
I was June 15th or 30th in June, whichever date that is. Sorry, I didn't look it up.
June the 8th.
June the 8th. That's the in June. Okay. Do I have a seconder for this motion? Councillor Holmes. All those in favor of, sorry, Councillor Barkle? Councillor Karen? Yes, Councillor Holmes. Councillor Holmes seconded. Councillor Barkle.
Yes, I'm looking at my calendar. I'm going to say the 14th So that's 6, 7. I think the possibility that we might still be restricted pretty high by then. I prefer Councillor Trainer's sort of compromise. July. The first meeting is on the 13th, so I'll be voting against this and would support the July 13th date if we do a vote on a.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Barkwell. Any further discussion? Councillor Pat.
I like Councillor Trainer's date too. That was a good compromise.
Okay, all the question now then? No further discussion? Or is there any further discussion? Okay, we're voting, sorry?
What are we
Somebody
voting
have, Ms. Needham, could you read the floor, please?
What's on the floor is that the first meeting in June, so that this meeting in June or earlier if the public is in attendance, so it'd be June 8th.
The presentation come back for consideration. Yes, okay. So Councillor Van Elfen, you're clear now?
Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, so that is defeated. Councillor Trainer.
Do we have a motion then? Okay, so I will choose the date then of, when is the first in July? The 13th?
13th,
Yes.
correct.
Okay, so that date. July 15th, I guess. And come back over 2 months. Like, how far away is that date? That's
2 months.
2 months? I think it's 3 months. Right?
No.
3 months?
April,
Yeah.
May, Oh, 3 months, July, yes.
So that's, I think that's a good amount of time that we're going to, and that then we'll have a good idea of what's going to happen, and hopefully we have the public in attendance. And
Okay, I need a seconder still, I think. Councillor Patton. Okay, do you have any other comments, Councillor? Okay, anyone? Any discussion on this? Karen, are we voting on a motion or a motion? Amended motion. Okay, so all in favor? Any opposed? Councillor Carlson, are you opposed? I can't really tell. No. Okay, so that carries. Okay. On to 9.4 then. Budget 2020 update 19. CEO.
Okay, I found the mute button. So I just wanted to provide this recommendation to council. There's obviously been a lot of discussion in the community and around council around how we can support the community moving forward, given the COVID event and the impact it's having on our residents and businesses. And staff have done a significant amount of work reviewing our existing budgets and prepared for some further discussion with council on Friday, April 17th. So the direction, the resolution we're bringing forward for council's consideration is to direct staff to bring forward options for consideration to reduce the impact of COVID-19 on the district Summerland's residents and businesses. 2020 operating fund, 2020 utility funds, extending the property tax remittance, a notice remittance, extending the 10% utility billing discount, and any other changes directed by council, and that a special meeting of council be set up for Friday, 17th of April at 9:30 a.m. Would be the time to have discussions. So staff will be prepared in advance with updates to this information, and look forward to having that discussion with council then. Thank you.
Thank you, CAO. So I'm not really sure where we go from here. How much of the discussion we're having tonight, CAO?
So the intention is to forward this discussion to Friday's meeting. So
Okay.
Staff will be able to prepare detailed budget information that will be contained within a council report, and all that information will be available for council and the community to see as council provide direction on providing assistance where they can.
Okay, could I ask you to stop sharing your screen so I could see everyone? Thank you, CAO. One question I have is, are you able to give an update? Well, I asked you this question yesterday, so probably not. On the BC Utilities Commission and potential for to give us a discount on our wholesale rate?
Nothing at this stage. There were some discussions even hour and a half ago that's still going on between the municipal utility providers. So we'll hopefully have more information, and I'm going to make sure I have Jeremy Storvell, our GM of electric utility, at the meeting on Friday as well to answer any specific
Good.
questions. He's been at the meetings with Fortis and all the other municipal representatives as well, so he'll be there to answer with some information, if not with an update on where things are at.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of council? Okay, could I have someone bring forward the recommendation? And I'm sorry, Anthony, if you could put that on the screen again, please. All right, so this is the staff recommendation. Please let me know if you would like to bring this, move this for council. Anyone?
I'll move as written, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Patton. Seconded by.
Madam Mayor, Councillor Van Al.
Thank you, Councillor Van Elfen. Any further discussion on this? Again, if you can stop the screen sharing, Anthony. And then I will call the question.
Hey, sorry, I've got 3 screens I'm trying to...
That's okay. Okay. Councillor Barkwell, you had an item for discussion.
Yeah, I was just wondering, Anthony, say our director, our CEO, say what time that meeting was?
9:30.
9:30.
Thank you.
Are you back at work, Councillor Barkwell?
No,
Regular work, I mean? No.
I'm waiting. I want to.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so that's carried unanimously. And then information items, correspondence. Is there anything that someone would like to bring out? Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Are we going to respond to the chamber? I think that the chamber president actually brought out, some very good items. I think we're going to be very, we're going to be in sync a little bit, except for dates, of course. But are we going to respond, or just through our actions that we come together on Friday, that will be our message?
I'll let Anthony respond to that because I had asked him the same question.
Yes, so through Chair, Your Worship, I think based on discussion and direction we may get from Council on Friday with regards to budgets and all the things that are addressed in the Chamber's letter, we will definitely want to respond. We certainly appreciate the information and thought that's gone into their request and trying to limit the impact in particularly on the business community. So it certainly deserves a response, and we will be doing that once we get the council direction. But the information in the Chamber's letter will form part of the information that's discussed, I'm sure, at council on Friday morning.
Excellent, thank you.
Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, thank you. I'd just like to note that, as the council rep to the chamber, that letter was never discussed at a chamber board meeting. I don't know if they had a special meeting just for the board or not, but I wasn't told. So, come up before with the chamber. I think there's a question of transparency with their decision-making process, and I don't know who. I don't know if this was just coming from the president, if it's from the board. I would kind of like to find out, who that letter is from.
Okay, I can certainly reach out and have that confirmed.
Anything else to come out of the correspondence? All right, could I have someone bring forward the correspondence to receive it for information, please? Councillor Doug Patton and Councillor Van Elfen, all in favor? Thank you. the next one is council reports. Yes, on to councillor reports. So I'm going to go, well, it doesn't matter how I'm going to go. Councillor Van Alphen.
Not much to report, Mayor. The only thing I can say, if you can, please buy locally and support your local farmers. Thank you.
Precisely what I put on the Facebook page today. Support local farmers. Councillor Holmes.
No, the only thing I'll say is that the RDS board, we're having our first kind of web public meeting like this this coming Thursday. That should be quite interesting, given there's 19 of us plus staff, so over 20 people on one screen where we currently see 9. I have no idea how that's going to look, but I'll let you know.
Councillor Trainer.
I don't have anything to report right now.
Thank you. Councillor Barkwell.
Well, as expected, I haven't been to any committees of any kind, or board meetings or anything, really managed to get off the farm. Nothing to report.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Barkwell. Councillor Carlson.
Just more farm work stuff. There'll be 3 plane loads of Mexican workers coming into Vancouver, and we get certified on Saturday, so 450 SOP workers, and they'll be quarantining in Vancouver, so no one has to break anybody breaking any rules. And then they'll be going to farms across the province, and they'll be doing this again next week, and the week after, and the week after, and getting from anybody as possible. We've had some good applications from, no, we haven't. We've had very few applications from locals, and the applications from Canadians that we've had basically say, can I work because I don't want to give up my government money. So we are really grateful that the government is following through and now supporting the farmers to get the workers that they need. Even though there's 6 million Canadians without work, they still don't want to work on farms. Bizarre.
Yeah. Councillor Carlson, if you are able to get any of the migrant workers that you were just speaking about.
We have 2 guys that will arrive on Saturday, and 2 weeks from then, and we're hoping to have 2 more. And if the other guys can get their visas, visa offices are also, if they can get visas, I think that as many people as are going to be able to get visas are going to be able to get here for cherry season, is my guess.
Oh,
yeah.
That's good news.
Hopefully.
Okay. Yes, good. Thank you. Last but not least, of course, I'll go to you in just a second, Councillor Van Alphen, is Councillor Patton. Please unmute. Thank you.
Sorry, I do have nothing to report, but I am happy announcement for the farmers where I understand that each migrant worker will get $1,500 for either wage subsidy or accommodation. So that was nice of the government. So congratulations, Aaron, on the little bit of help you're going to get anyways. That's it.
Yes. Thank you. Councillor Van Alphen.
That was exactly what I was going to ask Councillor Carlson about the $1,500 supply that's available.
Thank you. Councillor Barkwell.
I was just going to advise Councillor Carlson, you know, in the old days, farmers always had really large families.
The demands are there already. I gotta go, so no, I don't need any more. Otherwise, I can't go to any meetings ever again.
Maybe not just in the old days if you consider the Stollers and the Comeback family, right? Okay, thank you, everyone. Obviously, we have no public or media comment, so I ask somebody to bring forward adjournment of the meeting, please. Councillor Van Alphen, Councillor Patton, all in favor? Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
Stay well, and we'll see you. Oh, Councillor Barkwell.
Oh, no, I was waiting to buy.
Oh, see everybody on Friday. No, Councillor